Hey, Shalom Akim, Shalom. Before I begin this lesson, I want to start off by giving all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rachakwarash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who taught me this truth, and a sincere Shalom to the hopeful elect, listening, learning, and or teaching. Shalom to you all. This is Revelation 13, verse 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Okay, so what is this mark that's going to be mandatory, as it says here, for buying and selling? Okay, in order to find that out, all right, we're going to go into it. We're going to get this word mark in the Greek. Okay, and we're going to go into it today, Yasharala. Okay, and basically explain this to you the correct way, because there's a lot of false Hebrew Israelite camps out there, Hebrew Israelite camps out there teaching falsehood about this prophecy. This is a very important prophecy, Yasharallah. Okay, I mean, all of the prophecies are important. Okay, but this is basically, the last major prophecy that has to be fulfilled before the return of Yahweh Shai. And you don't want to fuck this up, man. You don't want to tell your congregation, that it's one thing when it's actually another. All right, like some of the things that I've heard, certain camps say is like, oh, it's sleeping with white women, right? I've heard that. It's sin in all of its forms. Okay, and there's many more things that other camps say. All right, they say it's everything except for a physical chip. Okay, which is what it actually is. All right, and we're gonna go into it and we're gonna prove that. All right, this is the word charagma. Okay.
Strong's G 5480. Charagma. Charagma.
Charagma. A stamp, an imprinted mark. Okay. Of the mark stamped on the forehead or the right hand, as the badge follows the Antichrist. That's going off because there's not one Antichrist. There's many anti-Mashiachs. Okay, anyone who's against Yahweh Shai is an anti-Mashiach according to the scriptures, but that's a whole nother lesson. All right, next definition says the mark branded upon horses. It's similar to a mark branded upon horses. It's similar. You can hear about a story in the Old Testament, which we can go into later in Exodus 21, where it talks about, and we can go into it right now. Actually, this is Exodus 21. Real quick, we'll go into it. Basically, if a Hebrew servant loves his master, right, he can get a mark. It says, Exodus 21:5, and if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free, right? Because the first 6 years they work for you, but the 7th year you let them go free, right? As it says here. And in the 7th he shall go out free for nothing, right? Verse 2. Okay, we're just kind of going over it real quick to get to the point. All right, and the point here is in verse 6. Then his master shall bring him out unto the judges. He shall also bring him to the door, or unto the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. Right? So if you love your master and you don't want to go free, right? Your master got you, with a woman and kids, and you don't want to leave that plantation. It's good, you like it, whatever, right? Because our people weren't like Esau, right? We weren't beating the shit out of our servants like Esau does, right? So, there's times when, the servant said, nah, I don't want to go free, and then so basically they put this awl, A-U-L, into their ear, okay? Which is like a brand, like a mark, right? Like you brand a horse, right? So going back now to the definition of charagma, the word mark, in Revelation 13 and 16, it says the mark branded upon horses, things carved, sculptured, graven work, of idolatrous images, okay, which it is idolatry if you get this mark, because you're basically telling Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, that you want to worship him forever. You want to be under him forever, okay? You want to be under him forever, right? So that's a form of worship, okay, because we're not supposed to have heathen over us, right? Where do we learn these wicked ways? From these other idols, man, from these other nations, okay, which we're not supposed to listen to them. Okay, but if y'all end up listening to them, you're going to be destroyed by Yahweh Shema Shai. Okay? But in order to avoid getting this mark, you got to know what it is, right? Okay, so let's go into it. So we know it's something stamped, imprinted, carved, graven. So it's something that goes underneath your skin. Okay, you cannot carve something if it doesn't go underneath your skin. You cannot imprint a mark in somebody, all right, if it's not physical. Okay, let's go deeper into it. Let's get this root word for the word charagma. And what is it? Charax. Okay, this is the root
Strong's
word.
G 5482. Charax.
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 And what does it mean? A pale or stake. A palisade. Okay, which I made a video about the word palisade. Not about the word, but going into the word. Let's get this word palisade. Palisade. Let's see. No, not the stupid ass car. Palisade, ancient definition. Okay. Here we go. In ancient context, a palisade refers to a defensive barrier or enclosed, typically made of tall, pointed stakes or posts driven firmly into the ground. Okay, pointy stakes that you gotta shove them into the ground. How do you shove them into the ground? You gotta insert it into the ground with force. Okay, so you're carving or imprinting upon the ground with these sharp stakes. Okay, which that's another word that it's going into, a pale or a stake. So let's get the etymology of the word stake. A pointed stick or post, stick of wood sharpened at one end for driving into the ground. Do you see? Are you starting to understand? Okay, used as part of a fence, as a boundary mark, as a post to tether an animal or to, or as a support for something. Stake. Okay, a pole, a stick, right? That you shove into the ground, that you stab or poke the ground with. Okay? Let's get a picture of a stake. All right, let's get a picture of a stake. Because remember, y'all heard this word before if you know about vampires, right? People say there's a saying in the world, if you want to kill a vampire, you got to stick a stake in his heart, right? So that's implying that it can be used as a weapon to cut somebody open, right? This is a stake. You see, it's something sharp. Okay, here is another picture of a stake, a wooden stake, right? Right, not to be confused with the meat that comes from a cow, right? We're not talking about that. This is a wooden stake, something sharp that's used to poke somebody or cut somebody open, right? To cut somebody open to do what? To put a mark inside of them. Okay, so what is this word stake or salakia? This word charax, this is going into the delivery method. Okay, and what do I mean by that? So when the MOTB is mandated for buying and selling, and you see this long ass line of people getting a mark inserted underneath their skin, this is how the person that does it for you is gonna do it. They're gonna grab this tool right here that looks like a wooden stake. You see, just like we saw. All right, just like we saw here. See that wooden stake? It looks awfully similar to the delivery method of the charagma. Okay, this is the delivery method, the charax. Okay, and this is the computer chip, the RFID chip. They're gonna put it in here, right? They're gonna poke your skin, just like you would poke a vampire's heart out with the stake, right? And then they would press the button over here to insert it underneath your skin. Okay, and this is what you see here. Okay, they're delivering the charagma using the charax, or the stake, or the delivery method, as we see here, underneath the skin. Okay, so that's the root word of charagma, is charax, right? Going into that delivery method, right? A stake, right? A sharp object. Okay. So now, right here, see, look, to sharpen to a point, right? Okay. So with that being said, we're gonna keep going. We're gonna go deeper. All right. We're gonna get the root word for charax. All right, which is grapho.
Strong's G 1125. Grapho.
All right. What is grapho? Very simply, to write. Okay, with reference to the form of letters, right? Okay, so what does it mean? Why is this important? To write. Okay, look down here. To write to one by writing in a written epistle, to give information or directions, right? So writing. Okay, and what does that have to do with the RFID CHIP? Is that this CHIP is going to have all your documents, your passports, your legal documents, okay, your jump shot records, your medical visits, and all those records, okay, all your certifications, maybe even your resume, okay, everything can be stored on this. Your bank account information, okay, everything can be stored on this, or also in a database that this can, draw from. Okay, so all right, let's recap. Okay, charagma is something that is imprinted or stamped, okay, like a brand that you put on a horse, right? Okay, so yeah, you got this man's CHIP, his chip inside of you. He basically owns you, because without this chip, you cannot buy or sell or participate in this man's society. Okay, so that is like a brand that is given to a horse because why? The farmer owns the horse, just like the elite, they look at us like cattle, right? So then this mark, or this charagma, or this chip that's imprinted underneath your skin through what? Through the charax, right? That pointed stake, that's the delivery method. All right, and you go deeper into it, and it gives you that word grapho, which goes into writing, because everything is going to be written on, all your information is going to be written on this RFID chip. You see? So that's, kind of going into how it's a physical mark. Okay, because, this word, all these definitions and root words that go into the word charagma, they're all physical things. Okay, it's nothing spiritual or symbolic. Okay, this is all physical. So the mark is a physical, carnal thing. Okay, because think about it. The mark comes from Esau Edom, the so-called white man. And we know that Esau Edom is a carnal man. Okay, he doesn't believe in the Most High. For the most part, you got all these Edomites out here. They don't respect the Most High. They don't believe in the Most High. They're carnal minded. They don't think about the spiritual things. All they think about is, this, technology and riches and fucking other nations over. That's how the Edomite mind works. And of course, their mark would end up being a carnal thing, a fucking chip that links back to a database that has all your information, and a chip that they could turn off at any time if you behave bad according to him. If you do something he doesn't like, he could just turn this thing off, and now you got to starve out. You see? So there is no reason to believe that this is anything other than a chip, okay, that goes in your hand or in your forehead, which we know we went into that. Let me see if I can pull it up. Oh, also, I got this word engrave from the word, let's go back here. Karax, I believe it was a Karax. No, the Charagma. So Charagma.
Strong's G 5480.
Right.
Charagma. Charagma.
I believe it's in here if we could find it. Stamped and printed. Graven work. Okay, let's do this. Let's grab Charagma, right? The word mark. And let's go to Google and see what comes up. All right, we got this Wiktionary, the free dictionary. The word Charagma. Engraved. Any engraved, imprinted, or branded mark, right? Engraved. To carve text or symbols into something, usually for the purposes of identification. Okay, is this not called the RFID? ID stands for identification. Radio frequency identification chip. Okay? Clear as day. All right, and let's get that word engraved. To cut in. Make by incision. Okay, incision. Incision. Stake. Palisade. Okay? Okay, this is a physical mark. Okay? And it's a mark that has writing in it, that has information on it, and it's used as identification. Okay, and if you take it, you are sinning against Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, and the scriptures tell you that you will be destroyed for that. Okay? In the lake of fire, which is the thermonuclear destruction of America in the midst of World War III, in the midst of Yahweh Shai's return. Okay, Yahweh Shai returns. This place is going to get, shot with laser beams from the chariots of the angels and of Yahweh Shai. And of course, it's going to be finished off by these nuclear missiles. Okay, it's going to be a literal lake of fire out here, man. All right, the ground is going to melt. The trees are going to be burnt up. There's not going to be anything left but a wilderness here in America. And that's the punishment that this place deserves. And everybody who gets this mark, right, you have chosen to pledge allegiance to Esau Edom instead of having faith in Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Then you're going to be put to death. All right, as simple as that. Okay? And now you know. It is a physical mark. It has nothing to do with sleeping with white women or sin, just random sins. Okay, you go to the store, you want to buy a basketball or a basket or a shirt or food, whatever. And the cashier's not going to tell you, well, did you sin today? And you tell them, yeah, I sinned. And I don't believe you. Here, eat this ham sandwich. And then you could buy it. Come on, man. That's not how it's going to happen. Okay? And what's the other one? Sleeping with white women. Yeah. So, hey, if you didn't, you got to have pictures of you sleeping with white women or else you can't shop here. Come on, man. Right? Because that's the thing. People will read this and they don't read the very next verse. That no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Okay? So where are the people, okay, that have not slept with a white woman that won't be able to buy or sell in the future? Okay, it doesn't make sense, man. Okay, this has to be a physical mark, and we just went into it. We got multiple definitions. They all connect to tell you that that's what it is, man. Okay? And people already have this, and they're buying and selling and opening doors with this mark. Okay? And, It's clear. It's plain, man. Okay, so we're going to read it one more time. This is Revelation 13:16. And he, right, speaking about this beast, causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, right? So you can't receive sleeping with white women on your right hand or your forehead, all right? You can't receive sin on your right hand or your forehead, right? And all these other crazy things people say, right? And there was a rumor going around in 2020 that, oh, the jump shot, the juice is the mark, but it's not, because you can't get a juice in your forehead, right? And you didn't need it to buy or sell, right? Now they did do things where you couldn't fly, you couldn't go certain places, you couldn't do certain things, but you could still buy and sell. So that wasn't the mark, all right? It's clearly the RFID chip, all right? And then, of course, don't forget about the brain chip, Neuralink, because it's the brain, yep, you know, and you know, that's why it's important to watch the video all the way through. The Wadi Yahweh Bashim Yahushai for jogging my memory on that, because then you might have some people saying, well, you know, that's the chip that goes in the hand, but what about the forehead? Well, here it is. Neuralink. They also got a company called Synchron. There's multiple companies pushing a chip that goes in your brain, and it can do the same thing that this one can, and actually it can do a lot more. Okay, so, you know, buying and selling right there. If you don't have hands, everybody got a head, right? So that's why everybody's going to get this mark. Not everybody. The elect is not going to get it, all right? But everybody else will. Okay, and this is the mark that goes in the forehead, right? Which the word forehead goes between the eyes, okay? Which is right here, man. Okay, and then they got multiple chips, man. They got different ones that go in the brain, okay? This is the prophecy, man, all right? Because guess what? In order to put this in your brain, what do they got to do? Okay, they got to have a something sharp. They got to bore a hole in your fucking head, right? Which we went into that word bore, okay? They got to cut a hole in your head and insert it underneath your skull, okay? So it's the same thing, all right? Underneath the skin, underneath the skull, it's the same thing, okay? So this is the MOTB. The mark of the beast is the RFID chip, and Neuralink, Synchron, and all the other companies that's pushing Salakia, and all the other brain chips that are out there. Okay? Very simple. Don't get a chip in your brain. Don't get a chip in your hand. Okay? And don't get a chip, period, in any part of your body underneath your skin. Don't do it. Don't do it. Unless you want to die a terrible death. All right? Verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. All right, so with that, I pray this lesson was edifying to the hopeful elect. I want to finish by giving all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Chakorash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and is sincere. Shalom to the hopeful elect out there listening, learning, and or teaching. Shalom to you all. Shalom wa abad babal. Shalom.